Robert Duncan was one of the most original and intellectually ambitious poets of 20th century America, associated with the San Francisco Renaissance, the Beat Generation, and the Black Mountain Poets. Duncan developed a unique poetic voice that combined myth, mysticism, politics, and personal revelation. His work remains a cornerstone of postwar experimental poetry, marked by its visionary quality and openness to diverse influences. Robert Edward Duncan was born on January 7, 1919, in Oakland, California. His early life was unusual and deeply formative. His biological mother died during childbirth, and he was adopted by Edwin and Minnehaha Sims Duncan, members of theosophical and occult spiritual group known as the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. This mystical environment, rich in esoteric symbolism and alternative spiritual ideas, profoundly shaped Duncan's imagination. From an early age, he was drawn to mythology, magic, and literature, themes that would later form the foundation of his poetry. Duncan attended the University of California, Berkeley, in the late 1930s, where he became part of an intellectually vibrant community that included Jack Spicer, Robin Blaser, and later Kenneth Rexroth. Though he never completed a degree, his time at Berkeley introduced him to a wide range of influences, from classical literature and medieval mysticism to modernist poets such as Ezra Pound, H.D. Hilda Doolittle, and William Butler Yeats. Duncan's later correspondence and friendships with H.D. in particular proved crucial to his development, reinforcing his interest in the mythic dimension of poetry. In the 1940s, Duncan's poetry began to take shape under the combined influence of modernism and his own philosophical explorations. He published his first major work, Heavenly City, Earthly City, 1947, which already displayed his fascination with the intersection of the spiritual and material worlds. However, it was during the 1950s and 1960s that Duncan came into full maturity as a poet. He became an active participant in the San Francisco literary scene, reading alongside poets like Allen Ginsberg, Robert Creeley, and Denise Levertov. Though sympathetic to the Beat movement's rebellious spirit, Duncan's work stood apart for its dense intertextuality, mythological references, and linguistic experimentation. Duncan's most acclaimed collections include The Opening of the Field, 1960, Roots and Branches, 1964, and Bend in the Bow, 1968. In these works, he explored poetry as an organic process, a living field of language and symbol through which meaning continually unfolded. He often described himself not as a creator of poems, but as a participant in the larger life of poetry itself, guided by the law of the poem. His work is filled with references to mythology, alchemy, Jungian psychology, and the Bible, yet always rooted in personal experience and emotion. One of Duncan's most distinctive qualities was his blending of the visionary and the political. In the turbulent 1960s, he was an outspoken critic of the Vietnam War and of what he saw as the moral failings of American culture. Yet his engagement with politics was always mediated by a larger poetic and spiritual framework. He believed poetry had the power to reveal hidden truths about society and the cosmos, a kind of sacred art that could bridge the human and the divine. Duncan's relationship with fellow poet Denise Levertov illustrates his complex stance toward political poetry. The two were close friends and correspondents, but their differing views on how poetry should address political realities eventually led to a falling out. Duncan insisted that poetry must serve imagination and inner vision first, rather than political advocacy, a position that reflected his lifelong commitment to poetic autonomy. In his personal life, Duncan was openly gay at a time when such openness was rare and risky. His essay, The Homosexual in Society, 1944, was one of the earliest public defenses of homosexuality in modern American literature. He lived for nearly 4 decades with his partner, the painter Jess Collins, known simply as Jess, in San Francisco. Their home became a gathering place for artists and intellectuals, and their relationship embodied Duncan's belief in love and imagination as revolutionary forces. After Bending the Bow, Duncan entered a long period of silence, publishing little for over a decade. He devoted himself to studying Dante, Blake Pound, and H.D., and to deepening his understanding of the poetic tradition. In 1984, he broke his silence with Groundwork,